And welcome back. We love Mondays because that's when we have our SME segment and it's time to talk business. And here with us on our SME segment today is Juliet Igwe, founder of Buff Bakeries Limited, which has the Cakeflair brand and Buff Bistro, and Chef Juls, Nigerian brand as well. And we have with us in the studio here, Chef Juls. It's so good to have you in the studio, and I love when we talk food on this segment because it means that I'm going to have my stomach pumped full with some good stuff. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, indeed. So you are an entrepreneur who's looking at the big picture,
yes.
And that's what we're going to be talking about. And hopefully everybody else who's out there who has the same dream is going to learn from everything that you've been through, the challenges, the successes, and all of it.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this, by the way?
Okay, 17 years and counting.
No. Do you have a kid that old?
Oh, no. My first kid is 15.
15? Close.
Yes.
Very close. That's 17 years.
Yes.
Now, it's one thing to be in the consumption business, and I mean food business. It's another thing to actually progress, because mostly when people go into this business, they use it as sustenance.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult for them to push ahead and grow, or the business grow in itself. How have you managed in the past 17 years, and how big have you grown from where you started to where you are now?
Okay, first started 2003 as a pastime.
Okay.
So from one cake to the other cake, and then I realized that it could actually be a business, because I used to work in an IT firm way back in the day, and my spare time I used to bake cakes. So I think the tipping point came in when a friend of mine wanted to order a wedding cake, and then she asked me to do it, and she was asking me how much, and I just kind of like couldn't price at that time, so I just called my salary. And she just, I'm like, what?
No, really?
Yeah. So my salary wasn't small fry then, you know. So, but I thought, okay, if I could do this, you know, and earn my pay, I could just kind of, you know, grow on it. Moreover, I'm in control of, you know, my creativity, so I thought I could explore it and just take it the full distance. So I started doing that as a hobby, and then before I knew it, I became like, you know, a home business owner. Okay. But I just thought it was time to transition when I started doing jobs for B2B, like corporates, and they would ask for TIN number, your CAC documents. So I just thought, you know what? Yeah.
Very tiring.
So as a business with proper corporate governance, I started 2014.
Okay.
You know.
Which is not
Before
bad.
that time, it was just all like doing it from home and then just kind of growing the crafts. So it was more like celebration cakes. Then I think the opportunity came to start doing cake mixes. I think I started doing bread as well, and then I realized that the bread environment was more like carcinogenic. With
really?
the additives, the quality of breads being put out there wasn't correct. And so when I started trying to reform that sector, it wasn't just profitable. So I pivoted to cake mixes.
Is this because people would rather that kind of bread because it's easy and
easy,
cheaper,
cheap, and affordable, but
and
it's not
yours
healthy.
Might need some extra coins to go with it.
And the healthier breads are not easily accessible, and they're too pricey. And no, bread's a commodity. It's not an emotional product. Yeah. So I just pivoted to cake mixes. I wanted to scale my business. I wanted to run autopilot. So I thought, what could I scale and still, you know, run it with systems and procedures? So with baked cakes, you're more like a crafts and artisan. You know, even though that could also be scaled, but with the cake mixes, it was easy to stock them, put them in supermarket. Like we're currently in all the supermarket, formal retail outlets across the nation. Yeah. So it was easy to move that around, ship it around. So, you know, do proper corporate governance and then, you know, grow.
So how easy was it for you to move from a home bakery to one with a system or apparatus in place that could, you know, form as a corporate organization itself? Because that's what you are currently.
Yes, I went to business school.
You provide employment for people as well. Yeah. So what challenges did you go through making that transition?
Enormous challenges, enormous. First of all, working from home gave me the time to think through how to build profitability into the business, because I didn't have to worry about rents and stuff. So I looked at my cash flow, looked at how I could improve cash flow. That's critical in any business. Not just like, oh, you love to do crafts, you want to just make someone happy. Is it also, are you meeting your bottom line? Are you able to hit those numbers? So I realized that if I do a bit of marketing and sales, social marketing, all that stuff, I could actually grow the business. So I said, okay, fine, if I can grow the business. What made me start thinking of scaling was I couldn't really travel, I couldn't go out, I was tied down. And I wanted to fully explore all my creativity. So I thought, how can I make this thing such a way that someone else can do it like me without me being there? So it was those thought processes. And once you ask your brain the question, your brain goes to work to try and help you figure it out. So I started reading business stories of those who started, scaled, brands that already have franchises. I said, okay, fine. I could do a franchise model.
Yeah.
So I started researching franchising, turnkey models. I said, okay, you know what? A product that can be on the shelf, I can be across the nation. What kind of product would that be? I thought it was bread.
It sounds very tedious, and I have one very incredible question for you here. Are you happy?
Absolutely.
I ask this because when you started as a passion, but then when you start adding all of these little systems to it, it now becomes work. And we all know that, well, this is one of the very few jobs that actually you can do and be happy, and I mean broadcasting. But everything else seems a bit dreary when it becomes work. So it's the reason why I asked that question. I'm going to ask again with that in mind. Are you still happy?
Yes. I'm a numbers person, by the way.
Okay.
So I thought, if I can create a system, as an entrepreneur, can someone else do what
you are capable of doing?
So I do only what I can do.
Well, that also brings this question. Creativity. If as a home bakery you could use your hands to do your own products, now leaving that to somebody else to be able to achieve, is it the same thing? Your creativity, you've relinquished your creativity to like a horde of people who are...
Yeah, it's this philosophy of a candle lighting others, it doesn't go out. This cake mixes, anybody can bake it. They are all my products. So kids can bake it. I've kind of demystified the process so that you don't feel like you have to have technical skills to be able to bake. So I feel like this, during the lockdown, became like the buzzword. I want to bake at home, my ovens, how do I use it? And for those who don't even have ovens in their homes, the pancake mix, you don't have to bake it. Some say, I can't tolerate wheat, my kids are gluten intolerant, we have the allergen-free ones. And those who are diabetic, who say, I don't eat sugar. We have the Nutri-Sap, the one that uses coconut nectar as a sweetener as opposed to sugar because of the glycemic index, which is like 35. So I did all that research because I really enjoy R&D. And I also feel like African businesses are too subsistence. We need to become institutions. So I thought, what African brand do we have out there competing in the global space?
It also sounds very exportable. So how are you doing on that ground?
Okay, thankfully on the 1st of January, AFCFTA initiated a trade agreement. The politics is correct. The policies are correct. Now, capacity building to ensure that we are standardized to be at par with global standards to help us be able to compete internationally is the next level. And so I'm saying, these are products that are exportable. And so investors who are also looking to the future should cash in on it right now. To say, Chef Jules, I'm in on this with you.
That's another show. That's Shark Tank, not this show. But I see what you're doing there. But it's all good. Very interesting how you've come from that to here and how you're looking at the bigger picture as well. Now, a word of encouragement for any small business out there who's looking to do exactly what you've done. What is that one phrase that you'll tell them?
Start from your area of core competence. Or something you're passionate about, you don't have the skill, go learn the skill. Volunteer to work where you can acquire the experience before you start. Because if you start without the experience, you bite yourself. So it's important to start from your area of core competence. Don't try and tag along other people just because it's trending. Be you. And once you know you can go the full distance.
Wow.